Hi, thanks for watching this quick introduction to TradeMapper. TradeMapper is an open source app which has been developed by the World Wildlife Fund, WWF, and Traffic to help conservationists and scientists like myself visualise wildlife trade data. It provides us with a great tool to make and share these visualisations with others, such as policymakers or the public. I work for Traffic and I'm so happy that TradeMapper has now been created. Before this, it was nearly impossible to create attractive visualisations without spending hours on Photoshop, and then when new data comes along, just have to start all over again, which was really frustrating. But TradeMapper doesn't just provide a way to make nice visualisations, it's also a really easy to use tool for exploring and analysing my data. Trade data tends to come in long dry spreadsheets, which are not the most exciting things to work with, but if I load it into TradeMapper, I can instantly see my data on a map and start exploring it and asking questions like which countries are importing or exporting the most, or pick out unusual trade routes which may warrant further investigation. To give an idea of how I'd use TradeMapper in my work, I've downloaded a dataset from CITES. This is official data reported by countries every year on the volume of wildlife each country imports or exports. Now, one of the species that countries report on is the African elephant, which is predominantly traded for its ivory. And here you can see the spreadsheet, and it's quite long and quite dry to work with. It's important to remember with this data, it only includes reported data, so that's mainly the legal trade, so it doesn't include the illegal or unreported trade. But if you had a spreadsheet containing that kind of information, you could just as easily map it. Okay, so I've saved that data as a CSV file to my machine, and now I can go to TradeMapper and just navigate to it. And here we go. So this is probably more data than we can make sense of at this point, so we can use the filters on the left hand side to start drilling down to the information that we're really interested in. So I'll start by selecting a smaller time period, and I may only be interested in the trade in tusks, and just those reported in kilograms, and only from wild elephants. And as you can see, this has reduced the data right down to help me investigate my specific question. As you can see, every time I choose a filter, the map automatically updates, and this makes it really easy to switch between filter choices and compare. So I may want to compare this trade with tusks with that in ivory carvings and see the difference, and then back to tusks. So using these parameters, you can see that the majority of trade is from Southern and East Africa to Asia. So we can start zooming in and exploring the data a bit more. So I can hover over one of these lines of really a large amount of trade and see that it's from South Africa to China, and that there's another one from Botswana to China. There's always also some small amounts of trade to the Middle East and some up to Europe as well. And by zooming in and investigating it a bit more, I can start asking myself these questions about which countries are involved and why the ivory is taking particular routes. I could also start sharing it, so I could email a JPEG of this map to a colleague and ask what they think about these trade patterns, or I could include it in a report to a decision maker. So I hope this gives a quick explanation of why TradeMapper is so useful, and you can see that we've already made a really great start. We've made all the code freely available on GitHub because we want to keep developing it and improving it by adding new functionality or improving on what we've already got. We hope that by making it open source, people with really good coding skills or design skills will be interested in bringing their ideas to it and making it even better. It would also be fantastic to see TradeMapper being evolved for other fields outside of wildlife trade, so maybe to do with flows of money or even people. Thank you very much.